Good morning, Year 2, and welcome to your English lesson for today. Now, what we are going to practice first of all is our conjunctions. And we've been looking a lot about conjunctions over the last few days. So if you remember, conjunctions are a bit like glue in a sentence, and they're used to join two clauses together. Now, what we've practiced so far is adding the subordinating clause to our sentences. And today, I would like you to add the main clause to these sentences about worms. So, if we have a look at this first one, there's a gap on the orange line, and then we have the conjunction but. Can you find a way to start that sentence? So write your main clause, but they are very useful. What might I be saying for the main clause in that sentence? Have a go now, pause the video and have a go at what you think might be being said there. But they are very useful. So you might have said, worms look yucky, but they are very useful. Did you say something like that? Excellent. Now let's have a look at the second one. This is a challenge this morning. So I've left a space for the main clause. Remember, the main clause makes sense on its own. So I've left a space there. I've used the conjunction if this time. If it starts to rain. If it starts to rain. So that's our subordinate clause. What could the main clause be? Have a think, pause the video, and write the main clause to this sentence now. So I wonder what you said. I might have said something like, worms appear out of the ground if it starts to rain. Did you say something like that? Excellent. Share them with me on your portfolios on Class Dojo. I'm interested to see what you decided to write there. And now I'm going to tell you what you need to do today. So it's Tuesday, the 30th of June, 2020, and your learning objective says, can I write an introduction to an information text? Can I write an introduction to an information text? So remember, this week, our aim was to write a really interesting information text about worms. Yesterday, you did lots of research on worms and the facts that you wanted to include in your text. Last week, we looked at the structure of a non-fiction text. We looked at all the features and the way they were laid out. So we've got everything we need to make a really good information text this morning. Now, an introduction is usually quite short, only a few sentences, and you can see mine here is only 3 or 4 sentences actually. And I'm just going to read it to you. And as I read it, I'd like you to have a think, what's good about this introduction and what might you do differently in your own? So here we go. Have you always thought worms were a little bit yucky? Read this information and you might change your mind. Worms are amazing and very helpful too. Come and find out why. Let's read it one more time. See if you can spot any sentence types that I've used, any interesting vocabulary that you might use in your own introduction. Have you always thought worms were a little bit yucky? Read this information and you might change your mind. Worms are amazing and very helpful too. Come and find out why. So, you may notice that I have started my introduction with a question sentence. We know it's a question because I've marked it with a question mark here. Now, question sentences are a really good way to start an introduction because they get our reader thinking. Have you always thought worms were a little bit yucky? And your reader's going to be reading that and thinking, oh, do you know what? I have always thought they're a bit yucky. So see if you can start yours with a question sentence today. And of course, punctuate your sentence with a capital letter and a question mark. Then I went on to say, read this information and you might change your mind. So for an introduction, that's really important because I'm telling my reader, read this. I'm persuading them to read the text that I've written, which actually is a really good thing to do as an author, isn't it? Because the whole point of us writing is that we want people to read it. Read this information and you might change your mind. So not only have I told my readers to carry on reading, I've also used a conjunction there, and I'm sure you all spotted that. Read this information and you might change your mind. Now the next part is important because I've started to talk about worms, but what I don't want to do in an introduction is give away all the information that I've found out so far. We want to split that into our paragraphs, and we'll do that later on in the week. You can say a sentence giving your reader a little hint about worms, but you don't want to reveal too much because remember I said you only want it to be 2 or 3 sentences. So all I said was worms are amazing and very helpful too. So I've not given too much away there, but your reader's going to be thinking, oh, I wonder why they're amazing and helpful. So that's nice vocabulary you can use. And then my final sentence, I said, come and find out why. So again, I'm imploring my reader to read on about worms. I'm persuading them to read this text and I'm making them quite excited to find out about worms. So what you're going to do today is write your own introduction to your information text about worms. See if you can include a question sentence in there and see if you can persuade your readers to eventually read on and find out all about these amazing worms we've been learning about. I'm really looking forward to reading them. Have a lovely day and share them on Class Dojo when you're finished. Good luck.